ever video meeting with one of our community champions. So I'd like to introduce you all to Thomas. Thomas is going to tell you a little bit about himself. If you could just introduce yourself to everybody, please, Thomas.
Sure thing. So I'm Thomas Henley. I'm an autism and mental health advocate. I do a lot of public speaking, training, workshops, things of that nature. But I also run a fairly popular podcast called the 40 Auti podcast, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's basically, getting guests on. We've had some guests like Temple Grandin, Simon Baron Cohen, even some of the UFC fighters, lots of a range of different people. And I also do a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, Thomas Henley.
Yeah, I've been listening to some of the podcasts actually, and they're really good. I really enjoy them. So, well done. They're really, I don't know, they're just they're easy to listen to, aren't they, as well? So, and really informative. So, really like them. So, I'm going to roll with a few questions.
Sure.
So, I'm going to talk to you first of all about you. And one thing that I would really like to know is, what is the most important lesson that you've learned in your role, whether that be your YouTube role, any of the advocacy roles that you do, your mental health speaking? What is the one important thing that you've learned?
I think in terms of me with autism, I think the main thing that I've learnt, personally on going on this journey is that, just like the breadth of people that are out there, the types of experiences that they've had, over my time I've talked to people who were just sort of, entering into adulthood, as well as in the middle of their life, as well as sort of the end of their lives. And it's all given me a very good sort of overview and appreciation for just how different the autistic experience can be. You have to excuse me, my voice is a little bit tickly today, but in terms of actually like creating stuff, I think doing all of this work. I mean, I recently hit about 10,000 followers on my Instagram page, and I guess it really does show me that the effort that you do put into this stuff, and the passion, if you manage to keep it consistent, if you manage to continue working, continue being passionate about something, that you will see results no matter how slowly they come.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've managed to get some really interesting people along as well, which is great, really good. So when talking about you still, what do you think what do most people misunderstand about you, Thomas? It's a bit of a difficult question, isn't it?
Yeah, because I could talk about it in the lens of autism, but I think the two things that people tend to get wrong about me, it's the first one is they don't think I'm autistic. So that's kind of a big one, because most people have a preconceived notion of what an autistic person looks like, says, things of that nature. And a lot of the stuff that I've done in my life and the way that I present doesn't really translate to their idea of what autism is.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can be a little bit of a barrier. It can also be quite a wonderful thing, because you get the chance to open people's eyes a bit more.
Yeah.
I think the main issue that I have sort of in modern day society, which is kind of a little bit different to the autism stuff, is that in pretty much all circumstances and environments that I've been in, either very recently or university, just out and about, maybe at social events, People are very quick to sort of categorize me as um, being quite like not a nice person, just
Right.
because of my physicality and my height, and the fact that I'm male, and I'm you know, yeah, all these particular characteristics. And
Mm,
it really it's a little bit depressing sometimes for me, but
yeah.
it's you know, sort of getting around the stereotypes in life can be very difficult, you know, no matter which category or identity you fit into.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Really, really, I totally agree with that, and I think you would get that, wouldn't you? No matter, like you say, no matter what category you fit into, there's always that judgment, isn't there?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really interesting. So if we talk about Healthwatch, and I know that it was way before I started that Healthwatch recruited some people who were community champions, and that was kind of brought about by COVID to kind of
Mm.
help support the people's different sections of the community from different places. So obviously we Healthwatch South Tees cover Middlesbrough, Redcar and Cleveland. So what was it that made you sort of consider becoming a community champion for Healthwatch South Tees?
I think like over the course of me doing all the YouTube and online stuff, it came to a point where I was wanting to, you know, because it is nice to spread awareness. It's nice to have that sort of indirect influence on the world, um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't bring the same sort of reward that sort of working on a very focused area of society can give you. So, um, you know, that could be with work, that could be with my advocacy role. Um, you know, having that active effort is very, very important to me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and it's really good. And I think with our network, we've got everybody feels the same, and it's that passion, isn't it, to sort of to do that drives you really to do what you do, and sort of to volunteer to do that and volunteer your time and everything. So, um, I've listened. Obviously, I've said it a couple of times, but I've obviously listened to quite a few of your podcasts and sort of
Cool.
listening to them and everything that you're sort of talking about from a health perspective. What do you think is the biggest challenges that you're hearing about at the moment from the people that you're speaking to?
Without being too depressing, I'd say there's quite a lot. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, the group that I'm thinking about in particular would be people like myself who would have more of an ASD1 sort of diagnosis, but there are, of course, like, you know, massive issues in ASD 2 and 3.
Mm,
They're a bit different, given, but I think the main issues that seem to prop up the most, especially in the research as well as experiential accounts from other people, mental health
yeah.
is a massive one, and
Yeah.
it's very very under. Um, it's not held at the focus that it should have, because you know when people think of autism, they think of it as entirely disabling, or a lot of people may do. Not everybody, of course. Um,
Mm,
and so it's quite easy for people to make the assumption that someone's got a lower quality of life just by the fact that they're an autistic person. But we know
yeah.
that, you know, having the right environment, having the right, um, you know, support, the inclusion aspect of stuff, can actually raise someone's life quality quite considerably.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't see these sidelining co-occurring things like depression, anxiety, um, at any sort of stage, because we're always focused on being autistic. You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
And it's, I think that's definitely one of the main ones, and I do like to focus on that quite a bit.
yeah,
But there's also definite issues in the workplace. You know, people like myself, ASD1 individuals, have average or above average intelligence, well as a lot of really really useful skills, but they're not being
yeah,
utilized in the workplace.
yeah,
So we have a big push for this diversity. You know, everyone wants to have, you know, be seen as inclusive, and to have people in their organization that are that have some kind of neurodiversity, but they don't do the important inclusion work to actually integrate them into the workplace properly long term.
yeah,
Even with internships and stuff, you know, someone might go through the entire internship and then get fired at the end of it, or someone might
yeah,
disclose that they're autistic if they haven't done already, and
yeah.
get fired for other non-related means. Um,
And is that a common thread then, Thomas, about the fact that they can go through the internships and then get to the end of it, and it's almost like, I suppose it's like a box ticking exercise, isn't it? And then they don't progress within the organisation. Is that something that's quite common?
I wouldn't say that I have the research backing that up, but I can definitely say that, you know, the fact that we do have these programs coming through to help us get into work, and the fact that our employment rate is about 18% in any type of employment, which is
Yeah,
crazy to me
it's
to think about that.
absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Um, and you know that number needs to be helped out, because there's a lot of things that come with being autistic that require us to put more funding into, in terms of support, just
Yeah.
for daily life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that was the rate, 18%. That's
Yeah,
shocking,
it's
isn't it?
ridiculous.
Absolutely shocking. I'm
You
I'm
should
I'm
look at
really
the
shocked.
you should look at the mental health statistics. They're even more terrifying.
Are
Um,
they?
they're awful.
Yeah.
It's crazy that this stuff is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not more well known about.
Yeah. And I guess that's the point, isn't it? That's the whole point of being what you do, and linking up with organizations like ourselves. It's to get that message across. And you're telling me that, but hopefully people will see this and actually realize that what these rates are like. And
Mm.
hopefully we can share that on a local level as well. And it's getting that message across, really. um
And
yeah,
don't get me
it's
wrong.
I'm shocked.
Like, I'm not the type of person to put the blame on anybody. I think it's just it's a relatively new concept, neurodiversity, in terms of the modern way of looking at it. And I think, you know, we are continually to make small improvements in the right direction. I just think a lot of people just don't know about it. They haven't
No.
thought about it. It hasn't crossed their mind. It's, you know, it stuff tends to happen in our modern society. Everything's very busy. It's hard to sit
Yeah.
down and listen to someone talk about statistics. You know,
Yeah, I know.
uh,
If people were to watch this and they are employers, is there any sort of place that they could go to for advice around that then? Because
mm,
obviously it's kind of guidance for employers as well, isn't it?
yeah, and I think it very much depends on what's around you. I mean, there
Yeah,
are some charities out there who help you um, sort of bridge the gap in from secondary school, you know, high school
yeah,
education, to the workplace. I mean, the place that I work at the moment, National Development Team for Inclusion. You know, that we have a program called Preparing for Adulthood,
yeah,
which was all about sort of bringing people in, trying to bolster their confidence, trying to help them find places to work on different aspects of their skills, like interviews, CVs, You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, but I think that the main issue that a lot of autistic people face is that the world is already very overwhelming, and it's hard to look for something if you don't know that it's there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's up to employers, isn't it, to kind of be that link and to do that as well, as autistic people as well. So, oh, this has been so good, and I'm going to I'm not going to talk to you for too much longer because I know you've got a tickly throat and getting
Seems to have gone
late.
now. I
So,
think the talking must have
oh
helped.
bless you. You'll be probably going to the gym tonight as well, are you?
I am indeed. I need to work on
So
my
if so can you just tell us where again where people can find you if they're watching this, where they can find your information, Thomas?
Sure. So my website, thomashenley.co.uk. Social media's all at Thomas Henley UK, and my YouTube channel is Thomas Henley, and the podcast is 40 Auti Podcast, and that's pretty much, it's available everywhere, but if you want the video version, it's on my YouTube channel. But
Yeah,
always
I can
very
highly recommend the podcasts. I really like them. My even one of my daughters has been listening to them.
oh, lovely. I'm so glad. It's
So it's really good. So thank you again for your time and everything, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more of these videos, and I would absolutely urge everybody to have a look at Thomas's podcasts and YouTube videos. They're brilliant.
thank you.
Thanks for your time, Thomas.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to stop the recording.